Campsie View got involved in the Continence improvement project when Katy Jenks contacted the home. She was doing a project in Continence and it was looking at improving Continence. Campsie View were always looking at ways that we can improve the life of our residents, that we can change care and challenge current care practices, and this looked like something that we could do that could change care practices but at the same time improve our residents' lives, so it was worth a shot and that's why we got involved. As a manager going through this project, my learning has been look behind the scenes at everything. And don't just take things because that's how we've always done them. Challenge ideas, look at different ways of doing them. So before we done our continence assessments, the staff done them on the floor and they went in and they went away and the residents get their pads, their products came back. But now it's looking at that data before it even goes away and saying, is there an alternative option here? Just because I've had time where we now think that they're incontinent, could there be something else? And our learning is looking at that, looking at the data and actually using it instead of just taking it, this is what's always been done, challenging ideas and looking at new ways that we can do it. Through the project, different residents have been involved in it each month. One of the residents in particular was having a lot of urine infections. She was receiving continence products. And when she had her urine infection, she had a lot of distress reactions as well. Through the project, we've actually realised through getting bladder scanning and different members of the teams coming into the home that we didn't usually use. Bladder scanning showed that this lady had residual urine left in her bladder, which was causing the infection. It then allowed us to put a very specific plan into place for her. So her toileting regime changed round her, that every 2 hours she went to the toilet, staff would double void her. We looked at taking decaf, giving her decaf instead of caffeine and increasing her fluid intake, although she had that retention, just so that we could try and flush her bladder out. All of that has resulted in the residents no longer had any urine infection since being on the project, and we're looking at bringing her off pads. So she's going on to another form of managing her continence. She's also had no distress reactions in this time, which has resulted in less medication for her as well. So no antibiotics, no antipsychotics. So it's improved her whole quality of life by being part of this. So during this project we looked at the start and we're getting very different results now coming out through our paperwork. At the beginning of the project we were using the paperwork that we were using before the project started, and it was in the home the way that we normally filled it out, and every time we met we looked at what was working, what wasn't working, made small changes and put it back out and seen what worked and what didn't work. What it's resulted in now is we've seen that we were able to identify where was the areas that wasn't getting filled in and why was it not getting filled in. We were able to go back to the staff and find out, is it a training issue? Is it a confidence issue? Or is it that they just weren't doing it and we had to look more at why? And that's allowed us to modify the charts so that we're getting paperwork that's actually giving us what we need to assess the residents appropriately, rather than just paperwork to tell us what incontinence products we need. We now have paperwork that shows us maybe they don't need a product, but maybe they need a change of care. We've got staff analysing these more now. So before, a fluid chart would get filled out, it would get filed away and it was there for a purpose, but very rarely did the staff actually analyse what was on it and say, oh, they've not had enough to drink, let's give them more, or they've not been at the toilet, or is there something else, is it infection or retention? Whereas now staff are looking at these things and they're starting to identify that in the charts, and that's been the biggest change, and they're filling them out appropriately because they see the benefit as to why we need them. As a care home manager, to any other manager that's approached to become involved in a project, I would say take the leap of faith. When I first came on this project, people were saying, are you crazy? The care inspectorate and you are going to show them areas that might not be working. And my message at that point was, but if it's going to improve care, sometimes we need to look and see what's not working so we can change it. We can't just keep doing the same thing day in, day out and expect our care to get better. And challenging that and not being afraid to say, here's what we're doing and how can we make it better. It works for the residents, it's worked for the staff. We now have a staff team that is motivated, want to take things on. They've got more confidence in themselves, and that in turn reflects into the residents. The residents are getting more active care, they're getting more person-centred care, better results for residents through just taking that leap of faith. And I think it's just believing that your home can do it, believing that your staff can do it and taking that chance.